Alright, hello everybody. Welcome to another Brics video. I think we're on part 17. Um, I'll find out later when I actually look at it, but, um, so let's continue with this illiberal order. I think that's what we'll call it instead of the NWO, because YouTube wants to put those little things on my thing. Okay, so we're starting right here, the new order. Um, so, which is the West versus the rest, or the United States versus the rising powers. And what are these rising powers? Well, Russia and China is one, Iran is the other, and they're willing to test the U.S. and its allies' limited military prov- provocations. While Americans may dismiss Russia and China as regional powers, their governments see themselves as global competitors and seek to develop alternative institutions, institutional architecture to weaken American power. And you can see that playing out right now. Now, I think this was like done in like 2015 or 2016 maybe or something, because most of the sources come from 2014 and 2013. Okay, the second tier comprises regional powers including India, Brazil, Egypt, Iran, Turkey, and South Africa. These states are rising in their respective regions and looking to spread their influence as power brokers. Alright, and you kind of start seeing that a little bit. And then the third tier, um, is about the oil, gas, and some minerals, which are Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the United Arab Emirates, as well as Nigeria. The rise of these states have taken various forms. Some, such as China, have experienced historical levels of economic growth, um, while others, including Russia, um, achieved rapid gains from commodities and oil exports. Turkey has had rapid urbanization. Brazil and Saudi Arabia um, might experience problems with decline in oil prices, but we see that shooting up now. Uh, so, and Russia and China are the main actors right now. Russia and China are willing to sacrifice Iran. And that's kind of what it seems like might be happening, as we can tell. Okay, hold on. Okay, so the regional powers and rentier states, meanwhile, are seeking the restoration of regional orders that mostly place themselves at the center or century, um, and that require weaker states to obtain their approval and accord them due levels of respect, if not deference. As Henry Kissinger has noted, this is a return to a normal pattern in history. What we are seeing today is more the restoration of a long dormant order than the creation of a new one. Okay, think about that. Okay. So what's going on today has been a long dormant order rather than the creation of a new one. As Russia, Turkey, and these other ones seek to establish their power in certain regions. Okay. Hold on, I'm reading. It's mostly just talking about how you know, the United States has been on top for a while. And how the United States benefited from the post-Cold War. This is just history. Hopefully you know that. Looking for the meat. Shit. Okay. Okay, the adaptability benefits occurring from a repressed civil society and highly empowered executive branch have been noted by Western fans of Vladimir Putin, who laud his ability to nimbly make foreign policy in a way that the United States cannot. Similarity in Turkey, Prime Minister Erdogan has called for the elimination of the separation of powers that he believes has inhibited his efforts to restore the country to the exalted status it enjoyed during the Ottoman period. To that end, he has prospered a stronger presidency and revised constitution intended to strengthen his government in dealing with a turbulent Middle East. So basically what this is saying is that there are fans there. This is the one thing I don't like about um, certain people who favor Putin. Putin's not a good guy. Okay, I don't know why people like him. He's like on par with Hitler, really. Um, Not a good guy. I don't even think he wants the best for himself, but he'll say his people. But I don't really believe that. Um, but he does have troubling things in his past, which I have revealed on my channel. Um, but so you're starting to see a lot of these countries go towards more of a stronger executive branch, which in some ways the United States is doing with the Democrats, and really, like, control only leads to more control. And so whatever you think you can control actually controls you. And you see that play out in this power because Putin, um, Erdogan, or whatever his name is in Turkey, you know, they want power. And then power leads to more power. You gotta control, control, control. But in reality, it's the more you let go of control that the better things get. And I think that's a lesson right there to learn, and you're gonna kind of see that play out here soon. Um, uh, During World War III, because you're gonna see these Russia, Iran, China, you're gonna see them all fail, and they're all gonna go down. So no, um, more power is not the solution to a stable country. I might stabilize it for a short term or for a period, but it's gonna fall apart. Especially whoever that leader is when they die, and then there's a power struggle to fill the vacuum void. It only creates chaos upon more chaos, and so yeah. But the main reason they're united is because they don't like Western governments. And I'll say it, I don't blame them for that. I think, we should, have a good talk with them. I mean, I'm definitely open to that. I mean, I'm all for avoiding World War III. I don't see it right now. Everything that I see just points that it's gonna happen, and so far, uh, it's gonna happen. I haven't seen anything change that. Even if Trump it comes in and does the isolation thing, you know, it's not going to change. World War III is still on the agenda. So, okay, so here's the main thing with these illiberal states is that they reject, or how do you call it, an illiberal democracy? I don't really get that. But they reject the idea of a social contract as a foundation of domestic political order. Um, okay. Uh, but they don't. What do they really believe in, though? They don't believe in the idea of the social contract, and most of them do pay lip service to human rights. Almost all explicitly reject the idea that their abuse can be used as justification for a humanitarian intervention in the absence of a UN Security Council mandate. Most are least nominally committed to the um, principles of non-intervention and a defense of sovereign prerogatives under international law. These illiberal states may be located in a liberal institutional order created by the United States and supported by its allies, but they have different preferences and perspectives on the purpose of that order. The question is, whose preferences will prevail? Okay. The United States ends up prevailing. So, I will say that we do lose. I say that we do lose um, in the beginning, which is right now, because as you can tell, we're being invaded. Um, yeah, look at this. For example, China has offered to establish a $1 billion peace and development fund for the United Nations and to field a permanent peacekeeping and police force of 8,000 troops. That's what China wants to do. They want to use their military and put them in countries and basically tell every country what to do. Um, and if you look at China, I would That would be worse than the United States. And I don't agree with everything that the United States has done in the past, but I believe we can change that, and I believe that we are changing that. Um, but yeah, they're they're they want control, and China is no good. Nothing is good about their control. And I mean, for example, the organ harvesting. I mean, next thing you know, these troops are just on the streets and they're gonna be like, oh, yeah, well, we need your organs. Time for you to come with us, and thank you for your sacrifice for the greater good of the country. Um, and this is where Brics also comes into key play because it's helping in the destruction of the dollar. Uh, and they're gonna try and take Taiwan. They've also infiltrated our government too, besides Iran and Russia. Okay, so the rising powers have also successfully offered a reinterpretation of some key political concepts that currently underlie the liberal order, such as human rights, self-determination, self-defiance, and more recently, the responsibility to protect, while simultaneously offering an alternative framework that is much more sympathetic to the preferences of authoritarian and other illiberal states in the developing world. This is why the Democrats want to take your guns away. For example, China has offered a narrow interpretation of human rights, one which limits political freedoms, privileges, economic development, and does not circumscribe um, government power, which has proven attractive to dictators in the Middle East and Sub-Saharan Africa. Even a ASEAN has adapted a version of this interpretation, noting that the exercise of human rights may be limited for the purpose of securing due recognition for the human rights and fundamental freedoms of others. This is where BLM and everything like that comes in. They're telling you right here. Because, in other words, some people are going to have to sacrifice their human rights for the fundamental freedoms of others. Um, Russia has also offered an interpretation of national self-determination which grants itself the right to protect co-ethnics and other states, even at the expense of their self-interest. Okay, so this strategy that Putin was allowed to invoke a valid right under international law, self-determination, while redefining it in a way that enabled his invasion of Ukraine. And I'm not saying everything that the United States is doing in Ukraine is good either. And I'm also not saying the United States is the good guy. But I'm definitely saying that China, Russia, and Iran are definitely the bad guys, if that makes any sense. I'm reading, so I'm kind of being quiet. Trying to get to... And what's interesting is apparently the Obama administration's drone program was able to use drone strikes against its enemies around the world while denying this option to other states. I'm just reading. Okay, these factors to reform. Okay. Neither argument is particularly... Okay, hold on. I think okay. In the case of Syria, he has portrayed his military intervention as a defiance of uh, Assad's legitimate government against the chaos produced by dangerous Islamic militants and their Western enablers. Neither argument is particularly persuasive, but both appear sufficiently plausible to many neo-Westphalian states to effectively block the U.S. from isolating or punishing Russia. In a way, Putin's arguments have skillfully inverted the rationale behind the responsibility to protect, effectively arguing that vast human rights abuses are a reason to intervene to rescue a government rather than a people. You see, Putin's not worried about people, he's worried about governments and power. So that's one thing you gotta look at here. Okay, these factors, the reform of existing institutions, the creation of parallel set of institutions. In other words, we're talking about the right here. We're talking about institutions and the parallel and the creation of parallel sets of institutions. We're talking about like the WHO, the UN, the World Economic Forum, and how China and Russia are gaining control of them. And a reinterpretation of key concepts of the liberal order, where people don't have as many rights or anything like that. All this have combined to give all three tiers of states greater leverage in the new global order. And it'll offset the power held within the United States and increase the level of consideration given to the preferences of illiberal states. The governments will pursue their interest inside the open, adaptable institutions of the liberal order, but they will not be constrained or tamed by their presence within them. In other words, they have pure dictatorship. The drift towards an illiberal order will be halting and incomplete, but the overall trend towards a reassertion of geopolitical competition inside and outside the standing still institutions of the liberal order has already become unmistakable. Okay, so we'll continue on page 17 next time. so that we can get a better understanding of what's going on here. Because some of this has come true and some of this is not, but it's giving a deeper understanding of what's going on and how this whole deep state has divided everything, but yet at the same time they're working together. Um, because what's going on is you see the rise of China, Russia, and Iran. Okay, they're keeping the same institutions, like China's controlling the WHO and, blah, blah, blah. And you see the United States, losing some of that. But it's been the Democrats that have been working with Iran, China, and Russia to lessen our power. Um, a good example of this is, well, I mean, not only has John Kerry went over to Iran a lot, but you got the Hunter Biden deals with China and Russia, um, and Ukraine. He's kind of all over the place, but um, you also see the Democrats destroying the economy with green energy and things of that nature. And the main reason why they're doing it is to basically limit us. They want to reduce our population and turn us into a third world country to give rise to China, who seems to have no restrictions whatsoever. So, we'll stop right there, and I will see you next time. And that, y'all have a wonderful day. Peace out, and bye.